Coming up today, he's used to moving fast because he played for the Chiefs, but now he's helping fight cancer on a bike. We meet some road warriors cycling across the country to build hope for cancer patients and their families. And good morning. I'm Jessica Lovell. Welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Coast to Coast for Cancer is a more than 3,000-mile relay ride to raise money for cancer research. It started earlier this month on the coast of Oregon and comes to an end outside of New York City in October. Now, these aren't professionals. They're actually employees with the drug company Bristol Myers Squibb, who sponsors this annual event. The money raised will support the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Now, this is video from last year's start here in Kansas City. A little bit rainy then. Hopefully it gets better today, but there is still a slight chance of rain, so hopefully it can hold off till after that start. In studio with us today is Michael Drittlein. He played for the Chiefs in 1996 and 97 and currently works at Bristol Myers. You're going to share some good stories, though, with us, aren't you?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. We also have, of course, Dr. Roy Jensen, Vice Chancellor and Director of the University of Kansas Cancer Center.
Good morning.
How are you?
We are good.
Good to have you front and center with us to talk about this event and where these funds are going. But Michael, you completed this first leg and started in Oregon and then ended in Oregon. Tell us a little bit about who inspired you to ride.
Yeah, so the whys are what makes this ride really special. Everybody on the ride was selected for a reason. Either they have a family member that battled cancer, or they maybe have battled cancer themselves and survived. And so it brings a lot of passion to what we're doing. And my why is for my mom. My mom was diagnosed with glioblastoma in June of last year, and then she passed in December. So time was short with her, and it was very painful for my family. And so just want to do something to try to help those cancer patients out there, do some fundraising, and try to help ease the pain for other families.
Right,
Yeah.
it's you kind of turning this tragedy into something good when you feel a little out of control. I know you were her caregiver. What's your mother's name?
Claudia.
Claudia. Yes. Okay, so you're riding for Claudia, and we wanted to share a little bit about her today. But Dr. Jensen, since 2014, the ride has raised more than $14 million in donations. How critical is the ride to get those funds?
Sure. Well, it does a great job of publicizing the work of the V Foundation. And, you know, they're one of the most innovative organizations out there providing cancer research funds. And we've had a number of investigators that have received those awards, and they're tough to get. You know, they have a very rigorous process for evaluating those awards, and we're really proud to be recipients of those funds.
Rigorous, just like this ride across the country, right? And you Absolutely. Can't do it without guys like Michael and so many out there. So just tell us a little bit about the ride itself. You're out there riding. Are you feeling emotional? How are you kind of getting into the headspace?
Yeah, so the morning kicking off this ride, knowing that it's going to go 3,000 miles across the United States, and we're looking at that huge rock on the Cannon Beach, and we're got our toes in the sand, and we're all getting together in a huddle and dipping our toes in the water to try to go all the way across the United States and pass the baton. You have a lot of mixed emotions, and so we've done on our jersey, and on the back of the jersey we have the names of all the people we're riding for, including my mom. And so it resurfaces a lot of those emotions, and it makes it really challenging from that standpoint. But then we're really excited too, because we're making a difference. We're bringing hope to those cancer patients out there. And so we start getting on our bike and riding as a team and as a unit that we've been working towards this moment for 6 months. So it's pretty exciting also.
So you biked, what, 200 miles?
Yeah, so over 200 miles over 3 days.
How do you prep for that?
Yeah, that's the challenge. And that's what's really cool about it too, is because a lot of these people on the ride, they've never been on a bike, and so they're learning to clip in for the first time and to ride these skinny wheels and be comfortable, because you're out there for 5-6 hours a day, and so you have to be really comfortable on that bike.
How many days were you on the bike?
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
Were you a biker before that? Did you?
So,
you have a little stamina. I can see that. But biking's a whole different animal.
It is, and you have to learn that cadence on the bike and pedaling all the time. But I had a long history of cycling, so it was pretty easy for me. But you know, we had some people that hadn't had any experience, so I was able to help them along on the ride and give them tips and tricks to get up those hills, because it has some really steep hills going down really fast, and it was challenging,
It's a
just like our
lot.
emotions during the ride.
Well,
up
and
down.
speaking of those emotions, just what would your mom, Claudia, think of you doing this and being a part of this bigger picture in her honor?
Yeah, you know, when it's your mom, you always want to try to do good for your mom. You want to make her proud of you and different things like that. So hopefully she would look down upon me and be like, good job, Mike. You know, nothing I wouldn't expect from you already, to be out there and leading the way and the charge to do something good for the world.
No doubt, a proud mama. Dr. Jensen, explain the partnership between the Cancer Center and the V Foundation.
Sure. So we've received about $750,000 of grant funding from the V Foundation, and we have utilized those funds in a number of ways. Just, you know, one example was we have a researcher by the name of Dr. Markevich, and she has focused on trying to develop a new therapeutic approach against cancer by utilizing so-called NK, or natural killer cells. And, you know, that's immunotherapy, cellular therapy is one of the most exciting aspects of cancer research these days. And so I think it personifies the type of award that the V Foundation supports.
Okay, I want to get back to Michael and Dr. Jensen here in just a moment, but let's go out to Mill Creek Park, where we can find John Allhart. He is the Executive Director of Brand Marketing and Storytelling at the V Foundation for Cancer Research, and along with Heather Acker, who rode in last year's Coast to Coast for Cancer ride. John, good morning. Tell us a little bit about the V Foundation and its involvement with Coast to Coast for Cancer.
Yeah, good morning. And, you know, the V Foundation, we're so extremely lucky to be a part of this Coast to Coast for Cancer ride since 2018 with Bristol Myers Squibb. Over $9 million has been raised for game-changing cancer research. And when you think of Jim Valvano, right, the don't give up, don't ever give up spirit that he has and that he inspires so many others to have, you see that throughout this ride as it goes across the country. The riders, their stories, like we're hearing this morning, they're inspiring. They make me want to get on a bike and get going right now.
Yeah.
So it'd be fun.
Well, we won't make you do that this early, but a couple more questions.
I'll stay here for now.
How does the V Foundation distribute those funds raised? How do you decide who gets it?
Yeah, so the V Foundation, we have a scientific advisory committee, so it's comprised of top doctors and scientists from across the country. They review the best proposals submitted from 72 National Cancer Institute designated cancer centers and other exceptional institutions. So basically, you have the best of the best reviewing the best of the best proposals so that we ensure it's going to the best research. And the beauty with the V Foundation, 100%. We could say that 100% of money raised goes right to game-changing cancer research so that we can one day create a world where no one is going to fear the word cancer again.
Can't get any better than that. Heather, you rode your leg last year. Tell us a little bit about what folks who are gearing up today can expect. What was it like for you?
Well, for me, unlike Michael, I wasn't a cyclist, so it was 5 months of rigorous training. And, you know, the first time I hit the 15-mile mark, I was kind of proud. And then when I hit 25, and then, you know, you're training every weekend, both days of your weekend, especially through the hot weekends of August. So it's tough training, but every time it gets tough on us, we just remember what patients go through. And we know their journey, and so nothing that we're doing can compare to what patients go through. So we're just happy to push through, raise as much money as possible for cancer research and patients.
So tell us a little bit about your why, Heather. How has cancer touched your life? Who did you ride for last year?
I rode for my best friend's mom. Growing up, we grew up on the same street, and I always wondered where her mother was. We went to kindergarten together, her mother didn't come, and I came, you know, in the years to find out that her mother was diagnosed when she was pregnant with my best friend, and her mother refused treatment and died when my best friend was 2. So just seeing my friend grow up without a mom, it was, you know, such a loss in her life, and she's become an amazing mother herself, but never had that mother figure in her life. So I just, you know, always was affected. And also my Aunt June, who was just a great person, so much fun. I was really close to her, and she died of ovarian cancer. So those two were top of mind when I was riding.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. John, how can people donate to Coast Ride if they don't want to ride?
Yeah, so the best way to donate, cancerbikeride.org. So you go there, give, and you can hear some of the great stories and the whys. So cancerbikeride.org.
All right. So, Dr. Jensen, as someone who works with cancer patients, explain the impact of the donations. A $20 million donation may not seem like a lot, but it goes to such a great cause.
$20 million is a lot.
That's what I was going to say. I was
$20
like,
is
it's $20. Yeah, $20. But when you add that into the millions,
Yes.
that small donation goes a very, very long way.
Absolutely. And, thousands and thousands of people donate. And that's
the key.
That's the key. And so research is essential for cancer care. We've made a lot of progress over the last 50 years, and every bit of that progress has been due to our research program, whether it's finding out what cancer is or then exploiting those that knowledge to develop new therapeutic approaches.
And good to know. You don't have to get on a bike to help. Just make that small donation, and it makes a huge impact. What research is gaining traction in the fight against cancer right now?
As we discussed earlier, immunotherapy is revolutionizing the treatment of this disease. And whether that's cellular therapy or so-called immune checkpoint inhibitor therapy, it is making a tremendous difference, and I see that as the future of cancer care over the next 5 to 10 years.
It's an exciting time in your career, I take it.
No doubt.
No doubt. All right, Michael, we got to ask you about this photo coming up right here. Okay, who's this guy?
So that's the Big Yeti. So Travis Kelce's Big Yeti, and that's a great story behind it because, my mom was really far along in her cancer, kind of at her point where she couldn't really get out to games, but it was my dad's birthday, and he's a huge Chiefs fan, and he has end-stage dementia. So we didn't have many more games to possibly take him. And so I took him to the game, dressed up like the Big Yeti, but I wanted to let my mom know that she was there in spirit, so I made the sign for her and was hoping to get on TV for her. And it was kind of cool. They actually posted the picture on Instagram as one of the super fans, and so was able to represent for my mom at the game and my dad.
So what is it like, though, to be a player? You've been down there on that field. You've been part of that energy, but to also just be that super fan. Tell us the difference between the two.
Yeah, super fan is not quite the same, but being on that field.
But that's the rest of us. Come on, tell us it feels the same.
Being on the field is really special.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Being at ground level and being able to see the impact and feel the impact, and to have that emotion of the players and all trying. You got that huge crowd behind you, so you know the importance of that as being a player too. They're cheering you along during the game, and you want to make everybody in Kansas City proud of your performance, and so that really drives you to be extra special. So going there as a super fan and dress up like the Big Yeti, I know the players on the field appreciate it.
And I'm sure they do. But an ex-player in disguise, I like that. Pretty sneaky there. Yeah. What's it like, though? You're part of this. You'll always be part of history, part of the Kansas City Chiefs. To just talk to us about what it's like to watch them doing what they're doing now.
Yeah, no, it is. It's great. I went to Washburn University, so not a whole lot of football games are on TV. So instead of most people cheering for their college team, I'm cheering for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are my team, So it's great to see them really turn that whole organization around and get us a couple Super Bowls, and having somebody like Patrick Mahomes out there as a leader is something to be proud of, to be a legacy player of that organization.
Yeah, fun to watch, fun to watch. Well, be sure to ask your questions. You can use chat on YouTube or Facebook, tweet us, or email the Medical News Network. The info is right there on your screen. Let's get a quick check in with Dr. Dana Hawkinson, Medical Director of Infection Prevention and Control. Remind us of the COVID count this week.
Yeah, 19. So we've trended up slowly over the last couple weeks from 14, 16, and now to 19. So we'll see what it is next week. Hopefully, if there is an uptrend, it continues to be slow, but hopefully more. There's going to be a plateau. I know I saw an article about decreased detection in wastewater in certain areas of the United States. So hopefully that will happen here. That means basically decreased circulation of the virus, and then of course leading to decreased hospitalization. So we'll just wait and see what next week brings.
All right, so the updated COVID vaccines are arriving at local pharmacies as we speak. People should get their flu shots, get the COVID shot, and of course people over 60 and older should get their RSV shots. Hawk, also, you saw an interesting study that's still waiting for peer review. Its key question was
Yeah.
if all the social distancing from the pandemic has changed how people think about social touch.
Yeah.
That is like to say hugging and handshaking, sitting next to each other, all those things. What are you thinking of that?
Yeah, this was really interesting. I know a lot of us, either talking with friends or ourselves or family, are frustrated a little bit more, or maybe a little bit more on edge when they go out in public now after the pandemic. This was an interesting study. Again, still up for peer review, but it had a data set of a group of people that were tested, and the study was published in 2016. So we already have a data set on people's perception of touch and human interaction back then. What they did is they got those people back together and they compared now new perceptions of social touch and human interaction. So we have a good comparator. And it was a small study. It was performed in Israel, about 45 patients, 45 people. But what it showed was that their perceptions when looking at pictures of human interaction or human social touch was less pleasant than it was pre-pandemic. So I think this is a good signal that there are perceptions that are maybe less pleasant or less favorable now post-pandemic because of all that we've had to go through, whether it's concern for germs, whether it's just been everybody has been inside, locked away, more in isolation now compared to getting out in public. It is an interesting study and again, an interesting data signal, but I think a lot of us feel that way in social situations now a little bit differently than we did pre-pandemic. So it's a really interesting point.
It is interesting because I think some people are still kind of in pandemic mode and others have moved on. So you're trying to figure out, kind of play that dance on, who's touching who. So.
Yeah, I know. And I know places like, high social places, like airports or concerts or bars just are a little bit different than they were pre-pandemic. And I think this is just some good information saying, yeah, those feelings, those thoughts are real. And again, it's not saying that people don't like it. All it says is their perceptions were less pleasant than it was pre-pandemic when we are talking about social human interaction or social touch.
Hey, before I let you go, Jean wants to know, how long should you wait after COVID to take RSV or even the flu shot?
Yeah, you can probably get it once you're able to get back out of isolation and get back out into society. You are welcome to go ahead and get your vaccination for RSV or influenza at those times. Remember, you can co-administer those. If we are talking about the COVID updated vaccine, we are really recommending about 3 months after COVID infection to go ahead and get that updated COVID vaccine.
All right, Hawk, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Let's get to some viewer questions. Joe Ellen has 2 questions for Mike. What did you learn about yourself in your ride? And how did you get into the zone while you were riding?
It's a great question because being on the ride, you get in the zone pretty easy because you see all your colleagues and you see the jersey ahead of you with the names, and so you're out there for a great cause.
Is it a competition? Do you compete?
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. I think that was the hardest part, is like kind of temper back a little bit. You don't need to beat anybody up the hills. It's about doing it as a unit.
Right.
And so that was really neat about the ride. But it was the unmasking of some of those deep emotions that I still had about the loss of my mom, and they resurfaced during the ride.
Yeah.
And then I had my whole group of other riders that were going through the same thing. So we had each other to really lean on and talk about those things. And so it helped me get over a lot of those early morning stages. And so that was something I didn't expect from the ride. That was extremely special.
That's incredibly healing,
Yeah.
for sure. I will say that Joellen noticed your face just shines when you speak about your mother.
Oh.
So we can see it and feel
Absolutely.
it. Heather, same question to you. How'd you get in the zone?
I listen to a lot of Coldplay to get me pumped up, but again, it's just, I remember when we were climbing Mount Mackenzie, it's kind of the last day of our 3-day journey, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I was thinking, I don't think I'm gonna make it. And someone came up next to me and he said, "Why are you riding? Why are you riding?" And say their names, and I just said their names, and it just I just felt strength, and I'm just like, I'm gonna pedal no matter what this does. I didn't even know I made it to the top. Everyone said you made it. I was just like in a zone, and then I just, just so happy that I did it. I didn't give up. It goes to the whole V Foundation's mantra that you can't give up. So that's how I got in the zone.
How does it feel to have your company supporting such a personal cause? Michael, I'll just start with you.
Yeah, I think that's what's really incredible. The company supports it. They put together and we go through all this huge training, but they also match dollar for dollar up to $500,000 of the donations. And so it doubles a lot of the money. Makes you really proud to be part of an organization that sees the power in what we're doing and tries to get the community to come together so we can do better for cancer and hopefully prevent a lot of people from having the pain that I went through. And you always want with cancer to not be the reason why someone's life is shortened.
John, question for you. Reese wants to know, does the V Foundation focus on a specific type of cancer?
So V Foundation, we fund all types of cancer. And that's what's great about the Coast to Coast ride as well. Unrestricted funds. So all the money raised from this ride, unrestricted, goes to the best cancer researchers in the country. And yeah, we fund all types of cancers. We do have certain funds. So for instance, Dick Vitale, ESPN, he has a pediatric cancer research fund. We have a Stuart Scott Memorial Cancer Research Fund to address disparities in cancer outcomes and in cancer research. So we do have specific funds, but overall, we fund all types of cancer.
Erica wants to know, Dr. Jensen, is there any area of cancer that you would like to see get more funding, more attention? Where are we at?
You know, while we've made a lot of progress against this disease, there's a couple of cancers that have proven to be extraordinarily tough opponents. And Michael has already talked about his mom and glioblastoma, and that is certainly one of those cancers. It is a tough disease. I've had a number of close personal friends have died of that disease, and I would love to see us make progress against GBM.
Let's talk about this. Did you have to have a coach or anything helping you? Orlando wants to know if you needed anybody to coach, even you, the ultimate athlete. Did you have to prep a lot?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing we have. We have a coach, and he's putting in, the training for 4 days a week, 5 days a week. We have mile markers along the way, and we have this little Training Peaks program that he's putting in our workouts, and we have to accomplish that. And everybody in the team is doing the exact same thing, and we're seeing each other's rides. We're kind of motivating each other along, but we wouldn't be able to do that ride if we didn't train, because it's very challenging. I mean, the first day, having to go 70 miles and climb almost 5,000 feet. It's a long day on the bike.
Yeah, that takes a toll.
It's a commitment over 6 months.
Yeah, for sure. And Heather, you mentioned that you had trained for 6 months. Anything else specific that you were doing, whether it be your diet or just getting in the good headspace during that 6 months?
Yeah, we did a lot of balance work. You do a lot of things actually off the bike, which I wasn't expecting. A lot of core work because you're bent over the handlebars so long. So just a lot of that kind of training, I think, goes into it. But really your cardio, making sure your cardio is good, staying hydrated. It's hard to take your hand off the handlebars and get your water. So that's kind of, you just go through these milestones of, okay, I'm comfortable on the bike.
Yeah, all these little skills you have to learn. Libby wants to know, what was recovery like? You ride all this way and then you're just done. You got to come down from that. What was it like?
Yeah, so every day we had to recover. We had the Theragun out. We were rolling out with the foam rollers to try to get prepared for the next day, because each day accumulates on your body. And so that was really important. But I think that's a good statement, is that after the ride, I kind of crashed a little bit emotionally.
A little withdrawal.
I was a complete withdrawal, because it felt like I was playing for the Chiefs again, where I had a team of people that we had one goal and we were working towards it. And then we all went our own separate way afterwards. And so we still communicate over text, but it's not quite the same. And we don't know when we're going to all see each other again.
Right.
And so we were really close, really emotional. We shared a lot of internal feelings with each other. So that was tough.
So therapeutic. But yeah, the withdrawal. Heather, what was that like? Just that separation from this group that you've done this really amazing task with?
Yeah, that was so hard. And we kept in great touch through the year too. We had a hard year. The captain of our team, so she rode the year before me, but she was battling breast cancer, and that's one of the things that kept us going through our ride. She died in March, so it's been really emotional for our team. We're actually going to celebrate her as we move to St. Louis, her hometown. So we just, these bonds go on, our whys become stronger through the years.
All right, we're going to go around here and get today's takeaways. But before we do, I've got to ask you, what's your favorite Chiefs memory from being down there on the field? Anything stick out, or give us some,
Give
us the goods.
Yeah, so it wasn't even a regular season game. It was the first preseason game. And growing up in Kansas City, I grew up in Olathe, Kansas, played college football at Washburn, and walking on that field, on the turf, and just like touching the grass and being out there in the Kansas City Chiefs uniform. And come on, Kansas City, when you're at Arrowhead Stadium with the electricity that place rocks with, I'm getting chills right now.
Say,
I think about it, it's like there's nothing in the world that is as impressive as that. I mean, it's quite a moment.
Well, it's nice to see a moment like that lingers with you.
Yes,
and
it does.
that it matters, and it
Always.
really, I can see the joy in your face as well. So let's get our takeaways today. Heather, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience. What do you want folks to know today?
Just that there's so much has been done for cancer research, but we have so much to go. So if you'd like to donate in honor of someone that you love or a colleague, please go to cancerbikeride.org. We want to prevent future generations from having to go through this.
John, what's the takeaway today?
I would say the takeaway is really be inspired by these riders, just hearing the stories this morning and everything that each rider has to overcome emotionally, physically, to get to that endpoint. We're all trying to get to that endpoint. We're trying to achieve victory over cancer. It's a long game, but with events like this, with people sharing their stories, committing like they have through this ride, we're going to get there.
Thank you both for being out there with us today. Dr. Jensen, what's the takeaway?
My takeaway is gratitude, not only to the riders this year, but of all years of this program, and also to the donors. Obviously, they're making a difference, and we're so thankful for everything that you're doing.
Friday morning gratitude. We love that. What I've learned, though, is just we talk about this big, long bike ride across the country, but just hearing you and Heather talk is just about like how healing it's been for you through your experience and just branching out and having all these people around you. I think it's really amazing. So thank you for sharing. What do you want folks to take away today?
Yeah, so I think that's the thing, is the people that spend their hard-earned money to donate. I'm so grateful. I wrote a personal message to everybody that donated to me, just because I did appreciate it and helped me push along the ride. And we're riding for those people with cancer. And the second day, I heard a story from one of a young girl that had brain cancer, and she was actually in remission. It actually came on day 2. So those are the reasons why we're doing this, and you can get better and you can beat this. And so this is a great thing that Bristol Myers Squibb is doing, and I hope it continues throughout the years. And thanks everybody for donating. Cancerbikeride.org. Please go out there and contribute, because it's a great cause.
Thanks for your work on the Chiefs field, but even more so, thanks for what you're doing now. We appreciate you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Hawkinson.
Again, one more great event to increase awareness, which is important, and increase funding for research, because we know so many people, so many families have been and continue to be affected by cancer, all forms of cancer. And as we move into the weekend, I think we need to continue to encourage people to be safe. We know we just talked about this article about decreasing pleasantness and those feelings about social interaction. Remember, the art fair is this weekend as well. So go out, be with friends and family, enjoy that time as much as possible. And remember, those pillars of infection prevention go with you wherever you are. Adequate, frequent hand hygiene. It's always okay to wear a mask if you feel uncomfortable in those situations, but please go out and enjoy the weekend and be with your family and friends.
Thanks to all of our guests today, and of course, thanks to our viewers for being with us. Have a great weekend. And of course, good luck to all of those cycling in Coast to Coast for Cancer. We'll see you back here on Monday. Coming up Monday on the Morning Medical Update. Linda Taggy used to struggle with diabetes, but meeting with experts turned her health around. I'm Jessica Lovell on the next Morning Medical Update. When to eat, what to eat, and other tips from patients and physicians. Monday at 8.
Subscribe to our Morning Medical Update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcast. Now everywhere podcasts are available.